Blakey and Tux, they're talking Cardiff City and some other stuff. Blakey and Tux, Dolly asks the questions on Blakey's Bootroom. Will always be blue.
Hello, welcome back to Blakey's Bootroom. I'm Gareth Rogers, with me Nathan Blake and Steve Tucker, talking Cardiff City as ever, and another disappointing 2-2 draw that feels like a defeat.
Indeed.
It's been like Groundhog Day, isn't it, Steve?
Don't get Russell Slade a dog for Christmas. That's what they're saying, and it can't hold on to a lead.
Yeah.
Bitterly disappointing. I know. They're going to go downhill from here, those gags, I'm afraid. Incredibly disappointing again, as you say, Gaz. After the Burnley heartbreak, you thought, well, you know, there's got to be some kind of reaction to that. Okay, they had to win at Bolton, back at home again, 2-0 up, and a second half fight back once more. It just raises a lot of questions. I mean, how much are Cardiff could regret that in you know, come May or whatever?
Those 4 points against the two
if they
teams
just miss out, you know, they were two nailed on games, let alone the league position they could be in now. They could be in those playoffs now, cemented really, you know, looking upwards as it is that they're back out of them again. And as we say, it raises real questions now, basically personnel. You know, that defence has been, that's what the kind of playoff push has been built on really for a lot of this term. The goals weren't going in at the other end, and that sort of solid back line was what the whole thing was built on.
Hard to beat, weren't they?
Hard to beat. They've started, I think it's...
But don't you think we were... well, wasn't this a point we were trying to make? I know I was trying to make it. We were conceding so many opportunities.
Okay.
Yeah, and Marshall was winning man of the match every week. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and pulling out worldy saves. And I said, as soon as he stops making those worldy saves, we're banging trouble. Yep. It's as simple as that. And another point I'd like to... a statistic, I haven't looked at it, but what would interest me is when Cardiff, under the current regime, have played a full 90 minutes. Started well, good in the middle, finished well. I keep saying it, and I've said it, and I'll say it again. To win or to gain promotion to the Championship, I don't feel the team is fit enough. They're fit enough to maintain a push at it, I think. But listen, I played in that league many a time. I won that league many a time. I know the difference between being there or thereabouts and just underneath or just off it, or being in amongst it, right? And I guarantee you, if you looked at the top four, I bet you their numbers, and I know, I'm not all about stats, but stats, you have to look at them because they do tell stories. And I bet you, I doubt we're in the top 6 for distance covered. Yeah, we had a stat last season where we couldn't maintain possession of the ball. That's improved. Some games it's still 40%. Some games you're up at 50, 55%. So that has improved. Not enough, but it has improved. But there's, let's sort of say, there's a collective lots of little problems. I always just say, said it to Dave Jones at Wolverhampton Wanderers after 2 days. Lots of little problems, Gaffer, mould into one major avalanche. Yeah, you can throw a snowball and catch it, but you can't stop an avalanche. And when it comes, you know, there's too many problems to solve. And they don't sound like, they're not majors, nothing's major. The difference between your starting position being 5 yards too deep or 5 yards further forward. Little things, lots and lots of little things.
The fitness thing, you know, I know you've been saying it for a while, and recent evidence would probably might back that up right now. But that amazes me with Slade. You know, he's got all these people that perceive all these faults in him. You know, his choice of side, the way he lines up, a lack of adaptability, and all that. But the guy's a former PE teacher, for goodness
You
sake.
have visions of him running and
Well, that's what I mean. You actually think, you would imagine that getting the guys fit as fiddles would be like the one thing.
Well, that's the one thing you can control as a manager.
Exactly, that
How
he
good or
could
bad.
do. So the idea that Cardiff are somehow not fit enough, I find amazing.
What you have to understand is the manager will dictate to the players, then the players' attitude towards what the manager's dictating will tend to decipher what the manager's going to do going on. Because if they have the attitude, we're working too hard in training, you don't tend to get the result on a Saturday on the pitch because they've got the ready-made excuse. Now, I've played with managers who like ridiculously fit, and then I've played under managers who went beyond, where even your quickest or even your best endurance player go out on a Saturday heavy-legged, lactic acid.
Yeah.
So
especially this time of
there
year.
is there is, and in our day the pitches were nothing like the day. So it is a fine balance. Harry Bassett expected a high level of fitness. Colin Todd, believe it or not, expected a higher level of fitness than Harry Bassett. So it was, I thought it's hard under Harry, but under Colin Todd, we ran religiously every Tuesday. No balls. No balls. We ran every Tuesday, and that was the season we ended up winning and breaking records. Now, I can only go on what I've worked under and what I understand.
I'm not sure. I'm not completely sure it is fitness in a way. I don't know. There must. No,
It must be because that time you won the championship, you were really, really fit, weren't you?
Yeah.
And 3 times he got promoted.
Don't get me started on my Fairwater boys games. Don't get me started on my Fairwater and the cups.
The Morrison lookalike. The big Morrison lookalike in the back.
Don't get
Morrison
I mean, there could be something in the fitness. It's true. I think it's more of a mental attitude with them. I think there's a vulnerability mentally to Cardiff. We've seen it quite a lot. That inability to push on the advantage when they've got it. They had that 2-0.
Are you talking Braveheart?
Let's hope. Yeah. I'm not calling it a cowardly thing or whatever. I just think a certain uncertainty within them as to how we're 2-0 up. How do we do this now? Do we push on and go for the third, go for the juggler, as they say, go for the, or do we stick or twist? Do we hold on to what we've got?
It's not worked for you, is it? The 2-0.
No,
that's what I'm saying.
But I think there is a slight mental attitude within the games of just how to, once they are ahead, how to push on from there, how to hold what they've got. And I think then, like you say about the starting positions on the pitch, I think they are starting deeper then. There's a kind of like just a caution about them. Hang on, we're 2-0, let's not blow this. What happens?
That's what happened Saturday.
And then inviting people on. And I mean, of course, on Saturday as well, there was a little kind of formation change as well for Wednesday in midfield, like a diamond brought in. And that started to expose Cardiff. And that is, of course, and that brings up another question of Slade's, which is tactical, which we've always said, which Blakey said, which a lot of people have said about the inability to adapt during games to changes, and that was exposed again against Wednesday.
A friend of mine who was a manager told me when they've played against Russell's teams and tactically adjusted things, there hasn't been a reaction to those changes. Now, listen, that might be the one game, or it was 4 games he played against him. It might be just, I don't know. It might just be.
He hasn't got a plan B, has he, Blakey?
Well, it might.
Don't hold yourself back, Blakey. Come on. That's what you're here for. To make everyone angry.
Okay. It might be just coincidence, but tactically, it's something that I think most people have felt. When I've looked at the teams like the lopsided midfield and things like that, I always think to myself, tactically, what are we doing? And I think, again, the change on Saturday, I don't think that helped us. They changed, and I don't think we reacted. But going back to what we've said in previous weeks, what have we said? It can't be a straight 4-4-2. You've got to be able to adapt the way you play in modern day football. It's
saying, doesn't it? It's amazing the way you're saying it week after week.
It's like, if you don't, these are the things that are going to happen.
I mean, you've got to question the manager when he stood there, the whole stadium's looking at it going, hang on, they switched things around. We're getting overrun in midfield. And there's no reaction.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, even if there's a reaction that doesn't counter it or is whatever.
Doesn't work.
Yeah, it doesn't actually work. You say, well, they gave it a go.
They tried,
just to stand there and go, OK, we're getting overrun in midfield, get on with it then.
There's the first goal, there's the second goal, OK.
Now that is a problem.
It was funny how the reaction to the Burnley
result.
Let's call it the draw, was at Bolton when they were in a similar position. He brought DeCashwe on with a few minutes to go, and then did sort of change it just for 5 minutes. Saturday it almost happened too early because they had half an hour. At 2-1, Sheffield Wednesday had half an hour to get back in and to win the
Could
thing.
have won it.
Yeah, and it was almost too early to throw in more defensive players at that point, because then you're just inviting them on.
That's what I was talking about earlier about this thing. Cardiff had dominated the first half. They got the lead, they got the platform. That inability to build on that, there shouldn't be an issue really on. Oh my goodness, they've scored with half an hour to go. We got to hang on now. That is not the mindset that's required. It has to be more positive than that. It has to be coming out for the second half after an energising half-time talk, saying, right, we want a third, we want a fourth, come on.
Well, Slade's getting criticised here for two things. Number one, in fairness, is the defending, which you can't really, that's not Slade's fault, in fairness. And then the other one is the substitutions, replacing Jones with Amiobi, because Jones was holding the ball up and Amiobi was just giving it away. I mean, that's a manager's thing there. Again, talking
the
about...
Kenwyn thing could be a fitness thing.
I don't think deep down, I've heard certain things from the manager, and I'll say it, I don't care. I don't think he really rates Kenwyn. I've said it all along. He has come around to it because the fans have all said, you know, clearly Kenwyn's our best striker.
And the fact they score goals when Kenwyn's in the side.
He has never... I know the difference between a manager who really... Your striker is your golden boy, right? And if he's your number one striker, you treat him as if... I'm telling you now, just from what's been said, I think I heard a statement recently, might have been last week or the week before, because of Kenwyn, because we play with Kenwyn, it doesn't enable us to play a pressing game. That's nonsense.
That's not true. Yeah,
That's nonsense. That just tells me, in that one statement, that told me everything I needed to know about the relationship between the manager and the striker, because it's never been, he's been my number one. Makeda's been your number one. Yeah? Lafondra's been your number one. Mason has been your number one. You've never, in my opinion, looked at Kenwyn
now it's Tony Watt
as, right, the golden boy. Yeah? So, for me, and you keep... Like I said in the article, it's like one step forward, two steps back. You keep shooting yourself in the foot. Why are you taking off your only player who gives you that platform to play off in the way you want to play?
That goal at Bolton.
You need a back to goal player.
Yeah, that's exactly what he does.
Like, and then if you're going to change it to a speed demon or put in Amiobi up front, then adjust other things to complement his game.
Yeah.
It's mate, you know, like I said last week, the Bolton result, don't get too high on it, because next week,
look what's around the corner.
Next week, listen, it's otherwise we'll be up down. I'm just disappointed to see. I think the mistakes made, not just individual mistakes, but I'm saying they seem to be a collective of the team management and how they're looking and what they're doing about certain games. They don't seem to want to change their position on, right, we are playing again. Okay, Sheffield Wednesday go to a midfield three. Okay, Wits, on you go, sit deep. Raul's gonna push on, boom. Yeah, feed the ball to Wits. Wits, just spray it long. Pilks, in you go down that channel. We're going to, over that right back's head, he's been a nightmare today. So let's really focus on him, Peter. Or when you just focus... Push the team up, get the, you know, it's not difficult.
You're a top side, back yourselves.
Reaction within games.
But, I mean, Rob's come straight in agreeing with you on the fitness front, Blakey. He's looking at Rawls, saying he was everywhere in the first half, second half.
Blew a gasket.
The midfield was nowhere, that's it. We badly need a midfield general, which we've not had since Graham.
Where have I heard that one before?
There's a decent box-to-box player up at Leeds. He's our player. I've said he was one of those people brought in at the crazy time, I say, and then never given an opportunity, what I call, to settle in.
Adeyemi, of course,
yes.
Seemed like the perfect fit. Didn't Slade speak about him back in the last week?
I asked Slade about him on Friday, and he was rather dismissive of it in a way. I mean, because I said, "Oh, you must have seen these rave." Because I mean, Adeyemi just had, I think it was the whole game. He bossed it, got a goal, and all that for Leeds. Which great win for Leeds, considering what Hull did to cut. And I said, you must be seeing these rave reviews that Tom Adeyemi's getting. And Slade was rather like, no, I haven't. You know, very defensive. I was saying, no, I haven't.
Well, then I would say, first thing I would say as a reporter, then, why aren't you keeping an eye on that?
To do your
He's
job.
your player.
Exactly.
The first thing I'd say, well, he's our player. If he's on fire, is there a way of getting him back, even next season, back into the mould where...
He seemed unsure if there was a January recall. He said that you don't think there is. Slade actually said that maybe there was, but he said he still has it. But he said, who would I play in Adeyemi instead of? You know, like Rolls or
that's an option. You need to jump on him when he says things like that. It's not a point of who do I replace. I'm saying, it's clear, I would have said, well, Sheffield Wednesday, for instance, you've played with 2 men in midfield. They've gone to 3. Do you not have the confidence to play someone like Whittingham in a 3 to counteract their 3? And if not, well, you keep your eye on people like Adeyemi and start building a bit of foresight for next season.
It sounds to me, from what Steve has said there, that Slade has almost dismissed him as being a Cardiff player.
As if he's been exiled. I see he remains an asset to the club, but the asset thing seemed to come through with what he would raise in monetary value rather than what he might do on the pitch.
It was one of those loans where it says at the end of it, could be a clause, the buy clause.
A sell.
Which almost means the deal's been done should he impress at Leeds.
I know. I mean, but then again, I mean, let's look back at the number of people who've come in here, not been given a chance, or have been given a chance and not taken, and have been farmed out on loan. Adeyemi's one of a long list.
Let's talk about the one that's come in on loan and has impressed everyone. In fairness, Tony Watt did it again on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's been a real breath of fresh air. I don't think there's any doubt. I mean, I think he's the one goal himself, but I mean, I don't think there's any doubt.
But he won the penalty.
Yeah, the penalty. I mean, he won the penalty. There's no doubt that he's just brought that bit of urgency up front. I mean, he's not a speed merchant really, but he's very forward thinking, and he wants to get at people. And I think that's made a massive difference to them. Obviously, I mean, was it 7 goals in 3 games? Unfortunately, 6 at the other end as well. But that's good. But no. I think he's been really impressive. I mean, I've seen him interviewed a few times. And I like his attitude as well. He wants to get better. He seems to have a really good attitude, and one of those guys as well. I'm as happy providing an assist as I am a goal myself. I want to be a team player. He says all the right things, and apart from that, he's doing it on the pitch. I think he's really doing well.
I mean, a striker who runs at defenders, not many of them we've seen at Cardiff City. Blakey, I remember one in the early 90s, and maybe Earnshaw, but
it wasn't me. I wasn't a striker.
We still don't know what you were really.
An all-rounder. You had the visionary
left back in the dressing room.
But yeah, I mean, you don't get many of them, and to be fair, when they do come along, they tend to be idolised, don't they? Because
they can do it all. Yeah. You look at that Ingalo at Watford now, he can do it all, can't he? He's just, a quality player. And I think that's what Cardiff have been searching for. We've said a couple of weeks ago, that 20-goaler striker, that person that they idolise, when was the last one? You are probably looking at Chopra or Bootroom or something like that,
So what's happening with him, Steve? Is he going to go back to Charlton, or is he...
Well, I mean, I think he's here originally till January 16th, I think it is.
If he continues to play as well as he's playing, it looks...
What's the deal?
The one thing he said himself, I mean, when he first arrived, he did say, he gave indications that he wanted to remain at Cardiff, that maybe he didn't see his future at Charlton. He said, I'm here, I could win a contract, I want to do my best. That was the suggestion. I mean, the way things are right now, I mean, the January transfer window, I think there'd be a lot of people out there who would say, sign him up.
This is another problem, isn't it? That's it. I mean, what are Charlton going to ask for a fee, or...?
Well, I think I've heard about a fee maybe in the region of like $1 million.
Would be enough. That sounds a lot
to get him. But I mean, that's what I was told by sources in.
Do you spend $1 million on him, Blakey? Based on what you've seen, 3 games.
I don't know. I don't know. I think, you know, and I don't
Very
know.
honest of you.
I don't know. I always say it's difficult when you're signing players. You got to look at their attitude, their background, their family background. These days, there's so much depth into what you want, because you don't want, you know, people coming in who can upset. Now he's come in, settled right in, playing well, so it ticks all the boxes. So would I sign him on the basis of 3 games? Yes. You might ask me after 15 games and I might say no.
This is the problem managers
You
have
know
got.
what I mean?
He's damned if he does, he's damned if he doesn't.
Right.
If he doesn't sign him and he goes somewhere else, scores 10, 15 goals, Slade gets
But
the
what I'm
blame.
saying is,
If he
Gav,
keeps him and he doesn't
No,
score.
he's not damned if he does, damned if he doesn't. He should have all that information to hand.
Yeah.
So
There should be no risk.
Yeah,
should know.
you don't just sign him on a, you know, oh, is he available?
on.
I'll just sign him.
I mean, with some of the signings Cardiff have made, I'm not just talking about Slade, but I'm going back further. It could have been strangers turning up at the door at times. You know, like, what's your name?
sure,
So-and-so,
come
okay,
with
you're in.
tux in disguise.
Yeah, it could be somebody as useless as me going in there. So, I mean, I'm not sure who's doing the homework or who's not, you know, the head of recruitment and all this again, but there have been some questionable
He's
signings.
the right
But surely
age.
Cardiff are in the driving seat now to get him, with him on loan, going into
Yeah,
January.
he's ticked all the
I
boxes.
just wonder whether $1 million would be available. That would be my concern.
Well, then that's another problem, isn't it?
Well, let's go on to that. I mean, January round the corner. Cardiff are on the brink of the playoffs in a great position. Does the owner stick or twist in this position?
I don't know. It's one of them. I don't think anybody outside of the boardroom, and maybe the
I'm not
management,
sure everyone in the boardroom
and maybe
knows
the
what's going
management
on, really.
know what they would have a certain idea, yeah, and they probably know since the start of the season whether Mr. Tan's going to spend money or not. But really, Gaz, that's what I say. It's like look, the team doing decent. All right? I'm not going to say they're doing great. They're doing
Probably exceeded
They're doing
expectations
well.
at
They are. They're in a good position. They could do better, far better, and they know it, right? But as far as overall general planning, yeah, and strategy for the future, for this season, next season, 3 years' time, 5 years' time, hey,
Nobody
listen,
knows.
no one knows what's going
there
on
must
there at
be
the end of
one.
this
We're
season.
told there is a plan in place by Ken Chu, but I've been told, but
If
not sure what it is.
If I'm the manager of Cardiff City right now in this position, this time of year, and I've got a billionaire owner, I'm picking up the phone every day saying, please, give me 2 million, 3 million, 5 million. I can buy a couple more players in this team, and I'm
I know that
confident I can
the
get them.
expectation is the business will be done. I mean, I don't know whether that will be like, here's 4 million, go and spend it, or
You're gonna have
goodbye
to,
so-and-so and thing,
here's
and
800
you
grand
get
for
some
him.
money
Yeah,
on
yeah.
that, or it's loans again, or whatever. But I know that I mean, another thing we've spoken to a lot about on this show is the lack of pace. And I mean, every time Slade is questioned about January, he keeps saying we need some pace. For catching people on the counter. He's talked about a wide player at
Sammy
recently.
Amiobi type player.
Well, exactly. You know, so that, I mean, there is the expectation, by the manager himself, the business will be done.
It was funny, I had a quick look on the message boards just before we came in to see what the fans are saying about which sort of positions. I got midfield general, striker, winger with pace, full-back, goalkeeper if Marshall goes.
New size.
I didn't
new
get
size.
centre-back in fairness, but that was the only, I mean, you know, what is it? What do they need, Blake?
I think the general consensus everyone can see it's not difficult, is
All
it?
of it.
You know, if Marshall goes, they're going to need a keeper.
Yeah.
Okay, Manga's fit again. You probably get away with the centre halves you've got. You do need midfield general. You need wide players with more pace.
You do. That's the one thing those two are
Raw
lacking.
pace for the counter attack.
You're not seeing.
I thought they've always
Well,
Yeah,
they can't counter attack.
Anyone here, yeah.
But then I
could have
say,
right
if you're not
back
going to
cover.
play that counter attack playing, then you've got to play like, you know, the keep ball kind of game in through the lines or what have you. The kind of what Man United are trying to play now. They've gone from a counter attacking team to a keep possession and beat you with possession kind of thing, you know. But Cardiff, you know, they don't keep the ball long enough to be able to do that, and they haven't got the players with the counter-attacking pace. So, pace out wide, and you know, you can always do with an out-and-out goals man.
Yeah, well,
goals,
that's
man,
when they
you know?
got Fraser Campbell. The year they went up, they went and got him, and he came in and scored those however many goals it
Like
was.
13 goals.
Yeah,
or
and
something
took
in
him over the
second half of
line. You know,
season,
you just
something
think
weird like that.
that's why I'm going to come in a minute to Marshall and Kenwyn because they, what the future's. But Bob's come in with something. The state.
Bobbert!
The state of the pitch he mentions. I have to say, I sat at the back of an Indian stand Saturday. Didn't really notice it being that bad, but.
Well, it's funny you should say that because, of course, is it Steve Clark at Burnley now? He, in his post-match after that, he actually, it was a dreadful day weather-wise. Oh, then again, what is in the moment? He actually said about he made a point of saying, no, how bad it was, how it had cut up and what a dreadful condition, which I hadn't heard for ages.
Yeah,
It actually looks quite good, but
It does look
he seemed to suggest that it was
Although
in a
I
poor
have played
condition
on
to
so
play
many
on.
pitches, especially internationally, when you, from the stand, you sit and you think, God, that looks beautiful.
Look, yeah,
You get the San Siro, you think, oh, what a pitch. You get down and it was like, huh? What's this? It's like Barry Island Beach, man, with tons of grass in it.
In fairness to the club, there's been a lot of rain. I mean, some grounds are underwater at this stage. But,
fair play.
but
And we have had a lot of it.
you know, say they're trying to play
Is
decent football.
Bob trying to suggest it doesn't suit our slick passing game, this surface? Is it?
He simply says
That's
it
the
doesn't look the
problem.
same quality as it has in recent seasons. So, again, that's
I mean, that's down to the club, isn't it? That's
Yeah.
down to the groundsman. That's
sort of thing. If the club's
Yeah.
got everything right, top to the bottom, that sort of thing wouldn't happen. So anyway,
they got all the lamps and all that. I've seen them doing all that.
They got the lamps.
surprises me.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah,
surprise,
yeah.
but something we have to keep an eye on. Anyway, Marshall and Kenwyn, two players who I guess everyone hopes will stay, but they could be interesting both. With Kenwyn's contract running out, he's now free to talk to clubs. And Marshall, surely somebody's going to come in with another cheeky bid.
I think Kenwyn is very precarious there. I know there were initial talks like as early as September with him about putting pen to paper on something apparently, and they seem to have either stalled or fizzled out.
Yeah, you never know be careful with that, because you never know when the club say, oh, we're talking to his representatives. You never know. They could be offering him less money. They could be offering him
They almost certainly are,
double
aren't they?
money. They could be offering him no rise at all. They could be offering him, a bonus incentive that may work for him, may not work for him. There's so many. Do you know
Well,
when
he
the club
doesn't
says?
fit
Do
in
you know
with
when
the
the club
ethos.
says we're talking, and then he's turned down a new contract.
Well, there was no suggestion he turned anything down, I don't think. It was just that these had been
It
inconclusive.
seems like
And
it's
they're
being
gonna-
prepped to say,
yeah,
we've
let's be
offered
honest,
him
they're
a
gonna
contract,
reopen them
and
again.
he's gone.
There's
You
no
know what I mean?
secret the guy's the highest paid
Yes.
player at the club. He was
He doesn't fit in
he
with
came
the
in as a
ethos
Premier League
of
player, yeah. I mean,
cutting
clearly,
your cloth to suit your coat, really.
Clearly
I
they're
mean,
gonna try and
he's a
cut
luxury in many ways. And,
He is.
and
But
I would say he was precarious.
yeah, but
Well, then that answers the question on why he's not loved, then, isn't it?
Perhaps
Especially by
it's-
the current manager.
But then if you're the manager, maybe you want to play him to stick him in a shop window.
That's probably what's been happening.
Perhaps it's the preparation for Kenwyn's exit. I mean,
Yeah.
you know.
But what might happen? Will other champion? I mean, Bournemouth came in last year, took him on loan.
Sheffield
as they were
Wednesday
going.
wanted him.
Yeah, I mean,
obviously, from the
at a club like that,
I would have said if I played with a front three and I had two wide men with pace, I'd go for him. Definitely.
yeah,
Definitely.
the way Chelsea used Drogba so well.
I would say, right, yeah. Hold up, knock off, into my midfield,
in the
and
box.
just get in the box. That's all you've got to do.
So I know we've discussed Marshall before, but are they any?
I can't see Marshall going in January. Famous last words
Yeah.
by Marshall. I couldn't see him going in January.
I can't see him going in January, to be fair.
Is he key to everything though? If he does go, can they still go up? Or
Thought he should have saved
Well,
him, though,
if
Sheffield
you
Wednesday
have to
goal.
apply the same logic, if that's what the logic you're using for Kenwyn, you have to apply to Marshall, surely. Marshall's going to be one of the highest paid. He's surely not
Yep.
going to be within the same confines as the players who have been signed over the last year or two. So he's also a luxury then.
I fear for both of them. Per my personal.
So if that's the reason why they can't get terms sorted with Kenwyn financials, then I would have thought, well, Marshall's got a longer deal, but I would have thought it's only slightly. It's the same applies.
I'm sure he could walk into half a dozen first team Premier League teams.
Mate, there are a few Premier League teams where you think to yourself, he's a better keeper than Marshall's a better keeper than what you got. You know, I would say it's probably a good 7 or 8 you could name that you would say Marshall's a better keeper than, quite easily. I still think he's probably, if you looked at the Premier League now and you said, give me 12 keepers, I think Marshall you could put in there as a top 12, definitely top 15.
And let's face it, he's had the perfect opportunity to showcase his talents.
Yeah, he
in
has.
the first half of this season. I mean, he's had, as Blakey was just saying, he's been man of the match like 4 games on the row
I
at one
just think
point.
if you're a Premier League team that's struggling, looking at the exit door, thinking there's all this TV revenue we could lose, we'll go and get a keeper that makes these world-class saves week in, week out.
I think
Marshall to Swansea.
I think he'll go.
Goodness me,
I
that's
think,
controversial.
I think they'll go up. I think he'll go to a club more in, you know, the Stoke sort of Watford at the moment. Not that either of those teams need keepers, but I think he'll go into one of those. I don't think he'll go to a struggling. You know, if Aston Villa came in from tomorrow, I don't think he'd say, "Oh yeah, I'll go," because they're likely to go down. I think he'll, like I said, I think he's a top 10, top 12, 15 Premier League keeper.
I think they got him at least until the summer.
They can brace themselves.
Personally, and then whatever happens, depending on what happens to Cardiff, another summer of
wasn't it the case
fending off interest and writing stories about
I remember
interest.
West Brom got very close to getting him. And didn't Vincent Tan step in at that point and say, no,
Well, the suggestion was that they hadn't reached their valuation. I think the desire is
and it's about 7 million.
I mean, if you've got this world of austerity in there and you've got an asset, if you know what I mean, you're going to want to get your value, the value you
Cardiff know as well what's at stake for these Premier League clubs, that, you know, this X amount of million, and same for them as well. You know, if they're going to stand any chance, they need their captain, star player there.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's have a look at the formation. Since the last time I was on the show, this formation seems to have settled itself down a bit. Pilkington's come in. The lopsided 4-4-2 has been ditched, and so has Peter Whittingham. Where does that leave him now?
The Wits? On the bench, having to fight to get back into the team, having to play up, having to improve his performance level. Simple as that, just like any other player. Once you get ditched or benched, then
He's had it before at the club.
Everyone has it. You know, great players like Alan Shearer have had it. You know, it comes your way eventually. I mean, how you react is all important.
To be fair, everyone's talking about.
Gunnarson's been dropped.
Yeah,
playing
he had
fantastically
started
well.
the season, didn't he? Yeah.
Rouse has been dropped. He's not been played.
But Rowles is the game changer, isn't he? He's the one that's come into Whittingham's position.
Well, he's left-sided, isn't he? Left-footed.
His dead balls are just as good.
Yeah, so...
Yeah, if you're Whittingham, you're looking at it and thinking, then you have to do something special.
Changing of the guard, it happens.
Yeah.
You know, you've been here 10 years, Dollarwalt, younger version comes in. It's just... You've got a choice. You can either think, right, on my day I can still, you know, do this kid all ends up. So in training, I'm going to show it. And then I'm going to produce it in a game. Or you have to accept until he's injured. You know, I just can't compete with his level of energy, with his level of fitness, how he plays, blah, 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 blah. And I have to wait my turn.
You've known him a long time, Steve. You've seen him bounce back from a few of these down the years. Do you think he's got it in him again?
I think so. I think so. I think it was something that Blakey was talking about maybe last week. Do they play now a system in a way that you know?
You don't adapt your whole system for Whittingham. That's not what I was saying.
No. I'm not saying you said that, but I'm just saying, are they
he can fit into different systems of play.
I mean, but I don't think the system they have now.
That's building your team around.
Yeah, but I don't think the team they have now does him any favours when he's in there, particularly as he's
Well, there's a lack of pace throughout, isn't there? Already, we identified that.
It's interesting from the start, whereas Whittingham started in the left centre midfield role and Rawls was chucked out on the wing. Then all of a sudden Rawls comes in and Whittingham gets pushed out on the wing. Then suddenly Pilkington comes back in and Whittingham's out altogether. It's almost like we've given you a chance, Pete, but there's nowhere to fit you in.
Down the pecking order.
I think right now, I mean, there's no case to say he should be back in there at the minute. You know,
look, he scored 2 and 2. Pilkington, he's been a big difference.
I mean, well, we're talking like changes, of course. I mean, something we talk looking back at the Sheffield Wednesday game. Potentially defensive changes.
Well, everyone's talking about
I'm sure fans are.
The clamour.
I know I was in the toilets of a well-known hostelry on the weekend, and someone came up to me and said.
Rather than where people talk to you.
I know. I was actually just in the toilet, and some guy came out and said, "Tucker, gotta get Manga in the side now," you know. And I was like, "All right, okay, that's okay." But I mean, that's the question. I mean, I don't know what people think. Connolly and Morrison had been in there, you know, surprise package, but as we spoke earlier about, you know, the defensive rock had been there, they were in the side by right. Suddenly, you're throwing away 2-goal leads. Hasn't been a clean sheet, I think, in the last 4 games now. 6 goals in 3 games. You got Manga sitting there. Like, we know what Manga brings. He's a proven entity. Player of the season last year, pure class. Arguably one of, if not the best centre-half in the division, certainly up there in anybody's ranking. One of the last big money signings that the club made. You're looking at leaking goals, you're looking at throwing points away. I mean, does he stay sat there on the bench? I don't know. I mean, what do you think, Blake? Is that pressing the...
I wouldn't. I mean... when the team was winning, I always say if you've got a winning team, it's hard to change. You just gotta, as a player, you just gotta sit and wait your turn. But we were conceding, like I said, a lot of chances. So defensively, people saying we kept the clean sheet, but right, because you've got Superman in goal, pulling out stops out of top corners and ridiculous saves he was making. Do you know what I mean? So you could have made the change then to give it longer to settle in. You know, would I bring back Manga now? Yeah, I would definitely. I would make that change now, and I would try and, you know, you want those partnerships together as early as possible and stay together as long as possible. I think the Morrison-Connolly partnership, it's been a while, but for me, it's never quite produced that solid where, you know, we limited them to 3 shots, you know, 1 on target, or, you know, we kept clean sheets, and okay, Marshall has made a worldy save, but that was 3 games ago. You know what I mean? It's not like there was a period where Marshall was just like, well, he was just different gravy, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And
that Bristol City game sparked it, didn't it?
Yeah, and whilst now he's come off that sort of be able to pull worldies out of everything that hits the
He's got
target.
criticised for one of the goals on you, so
well, you know.
Well, that one at the near post, you really could. I think he saw it late, but fair enough.
You most definitely could criticise.
It's the kind of thing he would have saved 5 games ago.
You know, but what I'm saying, you're not going to get that level of performance every week, so...
Looking at
of course, the question is with Manga, we bring him in. Who does he come in for? I thought maybe because Connolly, ahead of the Wednesday game, there was talk of him having a back injury, wasn't there? Right. Picked up at Bolton. Was that a kind of opportunity to, you know, he's got a back injury. We'll take you. We'll rest you.
And it's always difficult.
You know, I mean, it's just there.
I think the fans would have been up in arms had that been the.
It's always difficult for the fan, the pundit, whoever, because you'd never know what's going on. And like that might be a problem. Connolly might be playing with a problem in his back. Do you know what I mean? He might not. It might just be hearsay. You just don't know. So, you know, the best people qualified to make the decision are the coaching staff and the manager. But, you know, it's just been...
And everybody
you spoke about Marshall and Kenwyn Jones in January. Manga had
I don't think he'll be there.
Well, let's look at that.
I don't think he'll be a next season Manga.
Okay, I mean, but how can he sit out? I mean, he sat out half a season now. He's done nothing.
Well, he's been injured, obviously, for a lot of it. But
but still, a lot of time he's been there. And
I don't think there'd be too many complaints if he comes back in. I mean, I disagree when you say if Connolly was the full guy, fans would be up in arms. I think a lot of fans would just be glad to see Manga back in the middle of defence.
I think from what I read, certainly Morrison is the man everyone's talking.
Well, yeah, I know that, but I mean, that's the way for me. I mean, I would probably go in Morrison. But might have an arrest.
So I was going to ask you, Blake, if had Manga been there for the last 2 home games when they retreated further back, do you think he'd have had them defending a higher line?
Oh, good question, mate. Good question. I'm not sure. I don't know. I'd hope so. I'd hope that leadership quality, you know, because...
An extra bit of
I think he's got a coolness about him as well.
He has. He's very good on the ball, centre half, and he's got pace as well. So he doesn't need to play such a low line, a low block. Right. He can play a higher line.
But experienced player would
although he would try. But there's times like where you think, right, I'm concentrating and I'm focused. I haven't got time to make sure that Tux is pushed up alongside me. I expect that. I ain't got time to make sure Gaz, my right back, is up alongside me. I just expect that. You might push that high line and someone gets in behind you and you realise, well, Gaz is 6 yards beyond me. Then we've got to have a conversation. So, you know, but it's too late. The goal's in and we've lost. So it you know, like I say, behind closed doors, you don't know what's going on. But you know, it's not rocket science, mate. It's not difficult. The difficult thing is making sure players are confident and stay confident, and psychologically what you say to them, when you say it, how you say it, will determine largely how they are. Do you know what I mean? And right now, I say Cardiff are in a weird position. You know, they were in the playoffs for a couple of days. In the playoff position, they've just dropped out. Psychologically, you don't quite know where they are. Are they in a position where they're all saying, right, we can win this thing, we're going to go for it, or we just need to get in the playoffs?
Well, I think that's what I was talking about earlier when I said that mental attitude, even within games. You know, you can say that thing. Can we? What can we do this season? So can we keep forging ahead? Now we're ahead in a game, and the answer seems to be no, not at the moment.
I was just going to say something, and then Bob from Cumbra's come right in with it. Injuries and fitness, obvious consideration, but Manga and Fabio in the defence for the rest of the season.
Well, I think you've got to be saying that Fabio's the best left back at the club.
Yeah.
By
He
a
plays
mile.
on the
So, I
front
mean,
foot.
I'm amazed.
By a mile.
By a mile.
Better than Bugsy?
Yeah.
By a mile.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that was proven. I mean, the mistake of Malone over Fabio, that's a case that's already been dealt with, because Malone started, got injured, Fabio came in. We talk about Marshall man of the match. Fabio came in and put in 2 back-to-back man of the match performances. I just don't think the best Cardiff defence can be one in which Fabio is on the bench.
Exactly, and Manga for me. But
Yeah.
Last Saturday at Bolton, Peltier goes off injured. Fabio comes in, and immediately Cardiff are playing on the front foot.
I've said it. How many times I've said it? He sets the tone for your team. Yeah. It's crazy. He's a fullback.
He's a big player.
It's the way he closes down. He's like a little, you know, mongoose around the place. He's like just so quick and so sharp, you know. And we say he's not the greatest defender, but he's so aggressive, and you know, and he closes down with a purpose. And other people
He's
then
almost
go with
this
a
general.
purpose.
He almost is that.
He sets the tone for a lot of players, and I think, you know, I agree with Tux when I say I think he is the best fullback at the club, not left back. I think he's the best fullback.
Yeah, for me, I play Malone.
I think he's a symbol of. I think the situation with Fabio Malone is symbolic of Slade himself. In that
The
Slade himself,
confusion of it,
that sort of like.
I like it. No, actually, I don't like what I already
not
had.
even that almost. It's that thing of him going forward, Fabio. It's against all Slade's instincts, I think, of that solid, you know, backline. We'll build from there. I think he just sees Fabio as almost like too flamboyant, too much of a sort of maverick figure, and I think Slade finds that slightly distrustful.
But that's crazy, because I would say my first thing would be, right, if you're playing, say, right back with Noon, my thing would be, listen, okay, certain teams away from home, like Middlesbrough, Derby, we're just going to sit in, not for 90 minutes, we're just going to sit in for the first 20, try and get the crowd against them, the old cliches, and then, right, Fabs, I expect you to get round him at least 5-6 times.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Get round him.
Well, look,
because what it does, everyone knows offense is the best form of defence.
The chance of like a Fabio Pilkington, you know, down that left side, linking up.
Yeah.
That should be working like magic.
Yeah.
That should be, you know, Pilkington getting the ball, Fabio bombing on down, you know, causing, you know, nightmares in defences. That should be working. It's not being given chance to work, because both of them have been so in and out of the side as basically Slade has stuttered and altered, trying to find his best thing.
And injuries, haven't they?
And of course injuries as well. But you know, they neither of them have had the chance to build up
keep it balanced,
an understanding. We can make a change, should we? A bit of balance.
Look,
When did you become balanced on this thing?
I want to come on to tomorrow night's game against Brentford in a minute.
Whoa.
But firstly, we're running out of time, but I'd be remiss not to mention Wales. Do you think of that draw, Blakey?
Wales.
Yeah, very excited. I think most
Can you
people...
get any tickets, by the way? Sorry, I didn't know.
I think most people were
Only a couple
were
from me and
expecting it, weren't they?
I know, my dad definitely was. He's like, oh,
Most people was going, yeah.
Didn't even want to look at it. He's like,
so
okay.
many people were saying, "Oh, we're bound to get England. We're bound to get." And it was no surprise to me.
I found it a bit boring at first.
Mate,
I know. Sorry,
what was boring?
Well, I just thought it would be nice
It's
to have.
the biggest rivalry in.
I know. It was just something sort of
British
like,
Isles.
oh goodness, that dominating everything, and just the idea of being in the tournament. I thought, oh, a chance to play, I don't know, Germany or somebody a bit, someone a bit
through.
somebody a bit exotic, yeah, like Germany. But you know what I mean. But the thing I say about that group.
It's winnable.
Wales can win it.
Yeah,
Wales can win the group.
Listen, England have already put the trophy around their neck. That's
as
typical of them,
always.
right?
As always.
Here's my call. I would say Russia or Wales, top 2. England, Slovakia. On equal points.
I don't know so much about Russia now. Are they good now? Are they? I don't know.
Isn't Capello there?
I'm not a big expert.
No,
on
he's
them.
gone. I would say Wales, Russia, England, Slovakia. There's my top 4. That's how I finish.
Hope you're right for once, Blakey.
It's just going to be great. I mean, I just wanted to go on to Wales a bit. Is that obviously the build-up for that now is going to be massive? Is that
in England?
Yeah.
We just don't get the same with the rugby here.
And you've got,
as soon as the Six Nations
I
start,
think it's going to be next summer's
everyone
going
goes, yeah, whatever. Like, don't worry about the football.
I just think with
Summer's
a Cardiff City hat on, they've got to sell a load of season tickets next summer. They also could have a playoff push, where the playoffs would be a couple of weeks before this thing. Are they in danger of sort of getting missed out in all this, or will the excitement of that?
Euphoria.
The only excitement
Cardiff
if they can get to the Premier League, they'll certainly sell more season tickets if they do that.
I don't know.
We were talking about it on Saturday. Imagine Cardiff get to the playoffs. Imagine they get the playoff final, and the Euros are what 2 weeks away, less than 2 weeks away. You know, and people are going to spend however much cash go into that. Are they going to spend 200 quid for a day out at Wembley?
I think they would.
Cardiff?
I think.
I should think so.
I would. It would be a really interesting predicament because. You know, what was it, 13,000 again, something like that?
On the weekend?
On the weekend.
Not
and
brilliant.
they brought quite an army, didn't they? They brought about 1,200.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's going to be, I don't know, mate.
It's got to be careful, haven't
I think if they got to the playoff final, I would expect them to be able to sell 30,000 all day, but you just don't know.
If most of those 30,000
it's so much upset.
have already
fans.
booked their holidays.
Yeah, and going to France.
Yeah.
So and then I always say you got to look at like the financial implication. It's a lot of money.
And you say if you've got to shell out for a season ticket in May, say,
but I would have thought Cardiff would at least sell their allocation to go to Wembley if they had to. Yeah.
Let's say they have to be thinking ahead.
Looking forward to it.
But imagine they don't make the playoffs and they're trying to sell season tickets come May, they're going to have a problem.
Oh, listen, but that's what I say, guys. You need a plan. You need a proper strategy as well. You're going to go forward as a club, not just as a team. You know, your whole club, top to bottom, from your little under 6s, 8s, all the way up. It all needs to be planned in a way.
So that something like that doesn't matter. How many season tickets we sell this summer doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Because the plan is in place.
The plan is in place, and people believe in it. People look at it and think, I can see where we're going. Yeah, I can see that. And, at each point, before you get your final destination, you're not going to hit it. But if you've got a plan, if you have to veer off it, you know what you're doing. You can come back, and you know what I mean. There are times where you're going to have to maybe.
You have several plans in place, do you? If we make the play, if we get promoted, if we're still in the championship, you have these two.
No, I mean the club's overall plan of getting to the Premier League. I don't mean like the promotion push plan or what happens if we don't. I mean their overall plan of getting this club into the Premier League and becoming an established Premier League club.
I doubt that.
There should be a plan in place of how that's going to work and how it's going to be done.
Yeah.
And that comes from your chief executive, your boardroom and your owner. So, I know I've been down the club and I've seen one or two of the board members looking down their nose at me because they don't like hearing it. We've got a plan. I go, go on, show me it then. Tell me it. What is it?
Let's go through it.
Yeah,
let's have a coffee one day.
Yeah, let's talk about it. And not one of them would say, they'd be
top secret.
As soon as you ask them,
and this is why it's going to work.
Because as soon as you say anything that is outside of their remit, they ain't got an answer. You know what I mean? You're a troublemaker. You're a stirrer. That's what you are. You can't ask something that's uncomfortable to them.
He'll never.
That's why you're here, Blakey.
Not on the fans, Blakey.
Bobbers.
Always the man.
That's what you're about.
Anyway, right. Tomorrow night, another game.
Biggie again.
Christmas.
You said, can I just say, you said Sheffield Wednesday was like a 6-pointer. It was like a major, and didn't Russell say that was a major kind of
pivotal,
crucial is the word, was it?
Pivotal. Well, it was. I mean,
my word, not.
I mean,
all right, mate.
I mean, you look, when they were 2-0 up, if you were looking at that live table on the BBC, you were looking at Cardiff and thinking,
we're flying. Yeah.
Okay,
Now we mean
that's
business going
I mean,
into
they were a
Christmas.
point above
That's what I was
Ipswich then, who
thinking,
I think
yeah.
had won earlier in the day, or they played, and it was like,
Yeah, we're on it.
now that's looking good. But we all know
Look
what
what
happened
Ipswich
there.
were 2 weeks ago. You thought to yourself, we could slide into the lower half and stay there.
It's so tight up there. I mean,
It is.
Brentford now tomorrow, and again a point. I think they're down in
5
like
or 6
10th
points
or
down to
something.
Brentford
16.
are 10th. They're
Yeah.
1 point behind Cardiff.
1
They're
point
on a
behind.
pretty good run. I mean, they drew with Fulham on Saturday, but
They
since
fought back to
since October they've been flying. Of course, they won 3-2 at Cardiff last year, 3-0 up at half time. So they know what they're all about. They certainly
They're a
do.
good team.
Yeah.
They're a good team.
They are very good. Tough. I mean, it's got. If Cardiff, you know, I mean, it sounds obvious. If Cardiff can get ahead this time, I mean, if they get into a winning position and you know, blow it again, there's going to have to be.
I think
there's been
there's a
serious
lot of
questions asked
teams.
now. There's going to be some very.
There's a
serious
lot of
questions.
teams from, I would say, around about 5th or 6th down to about 15 or 16. We're all much of a muchness. And then there's not a massive divide between the top 4 and those 6. And the table and its points tally kind of reflects that.
Yeah.
You know, it is just about getting the consistency
It's a
and being
typical championship.
an adaptable team to, you know, change the way you play against certain teams. And I don't mean week in, week out. It's not, oh, 1 week we play 3 at the back, next week we play 4 at the back,
that's
week after we play
ridiculous.
5 at the back. No, you know, there's a plan A, plan B, and often a C.
When
and
it comes down to it,
worst
if you do
case-
find yourselves getting
yeah, and a
overrun,
D, which is the D is usually when you go down to 10 men.
I do
or
think
something
Slade
like
would be totally justified tomorrow to bring Manga in there.
without a doubt.
I don't think anybody could. If he was to say, right, okay, Connolly, okay, Morrison out, Manga's coming in. I don't think anybody could go banging on it. Any of them go banging on his door saying, "What do you think you're doing?" I think they could hold up their hands and say, "All right, we've gone off the boil at the back there."
gonna be
Any
a
other
change.
changes? Anything else?
Oh, I don't think there'll be many changes.
No, there won't be any changes. The only one I could see would be Manga coming in. I mean, barring an injury, I'm not totally a favour with the injury situation. I don't know of any big, and Fabio from Malone, which I think is a bit, is like that anyway. But I'm not expecting any. Well, you know,
I would play Fabio before Malone all day.
and
What
Manga
about
before.
Peltier? What about playing
Morrison?
Fabio right back and Peltier being the fall guy?
That's a possibility also.
That's an attacking option, isn't it? I mean, you know, because you know,
Peltier doesn't tend to get forward.
Exactly, whereas
Doesn't
at least
like to get
Malone
forward.
does like to.
Malone, yeah, have a go. Maybe
You're a
two
different
fullbacks,
team.
2 fullbacks going over the halfway line, bro.
And Manga with his high line.
Russell will be like, whoa, easy, Tiger. No, that's too attacking. That's Rogers.
McConnelly will be
You
like-
there. Nosebleed all
anyone?
round.
I just think there has to be a bit more belief instilled in them as well, like I said at the
That's what it
start.
is.
I think there has to be an attitude from them now. You know, we said it all along. They got one of the classiest squads in the division. There's absolutely no one in there that should particularly come to Cardiff, and Cardiff should go, oh my God, we better keep this a bit. They should be able, anyone who arrives in Cardiff should be able to believe they beat them. And once they're ahead, they should be able to, definitely able to believe we push on from here emphatically and nail the 3 points.
Let's
There should
have
be no doubts at all.
Let's have a look at the Christmas period. And Blakey will tell you sides that have a good Christmas tend to get close, tend to knock on the door of going up. Brentford home, Birmingham away, MK Dons away, Forest home, Blackburn home. 5 winnable games there, isn't it?
Those 15
No?
points
I
will
love
do it the world
I
again.
love your optimism,
Those
son. I
15
love your optimism.
Well, I'm looking at which team out of that are you thinking?
Well, Blackburn, they've changed their coach recently.
Yeah.
They're on a good run.
Okay,
MK Dons, I think that's winnable.
yeah. Forest home, so Forest Friday.
Forest, I think that's winnable. Brentford would be a difficult game. And what was the other one?
Birmingham away.
Birmingham, that's a difficult
Friday
game.
night.
So I would say you've got a split. You know, over those 6 games, you know, if you can pick up 10 points, is it 5 games or 6 games?
5. Yeah, there's 5 until the 2nd of January.
Yeah, if you can pick up 12 points,
Well, if you pick up 12, you're probably right in the playoff mix.
you're right
aren't
in the
you?
mix, yeah.
'Cause
If
the
you
other
can pick
teams
up-
will be playing
If
each
you can
other.
pick up 10, you should be there or thereabouts, or solidify your position around about 6
I
or
can't help
7.
thinking about those 4 points drop.
3
now.
win. Well,
It's
that's
depressing.
It's horrible, isn't
It
it?
suddenly popped
Don't
into
think-
my head.
yeah,
You're
don't
thinking,
think
wait a minute,
about
I know,
it.
I can't help it. I'm known for that.
bad enough
No,
for the Burnley
reflecting.
game, but I haven't done it again.
But that's what
I know,
happens remember what year did we say, I think it was the Premier League season, where I kept saying, you're going to run out of games, we're going to run out of games, and we're going to be saying, because what happens is, you don't get what you want out of this game, so we'll go to the next one. Automatically, that's what you have to do anyway.
Yeah.
but don't go into the next one not repairing what you
Well, this is
broke in or what mistakes you made in the last one. Or at least try to resolve them.
Let's look at the hypothetical situation then. You're 2-1 up tomorrow night and there's 10 minutes to go and you've played the 4-4-2, you've kept it the same for 80 minutes. What do you do? What do you change? How do you make sure you get over the line?
Keshri comes on.
For
To add a bit...
What would I do?
Gunnarsson.
Degashby, Gunnarsson.
Sorry, Tex.
I would go Degashby, Gunnarsson. Rolls would either sit or Degashby would either sit. Whoever's got the best range of passing in the box, but all three of them got legs.
Yeah.
And I would close up that 2 wide men, 1 up front. Then.
So keep the back 4, 3 in the middle, 2 wide men, 1 up. So you do that counter-attacking.
Yeah.
We'll sort of shore up the midfield and we'll go and get the ball.
Yeah, and I say to Ken, just stay as high as possible.
Is that what he did at Bolton? I can't really...
Yeah, that is pretty much what he did do at Bolton. And they saw it out.
And they won it.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's weird, that, isn't it?
It's a change.
So, okay, I mean, I'd normally ask you for a prediction for the game, but
But because they're so rubbish, I won't bother.
based on what we've just spoken, I want to know where you think they will be on January the 2nd at the end of the Blackburn game.
He's going to say 8th.
Can
you do it with coffee? Then? I thought it was tea. You stick Blakey. I thought it was tea leaves.
Let's let Tex go first. Go on, you just hold that thought.
6th.
Sounds good.
Sounds all right. Just ticking over.
Sort of 3 wins, 2 wins, a draw, something like that.
Just picking up enough. I don't think. I mean, that list of games. I don't think. I said in the whole division there's no interfere. There's certainly no interfere coming up in those. We've been a bit critical again. You can't, and you're going to be after 2 home games with those defeats, but. You sort of said it, Blakey. They're not a million miles away from being. The goals are there now. Tony Watt in there. They're much more positive on the front foot. If they could just now, whether it be personnel changes or a change of mental, if they could just tighten that thing back up there, then they can go. Then I think they can go on a run, a really good run. You know, if they could get, I mean, because I notice Slade all the time is constantly talking about balance. I was just listening to the Sheffield Wednesday post mortem again from him, and he's saying his balance, and he's right in that way. If they could, if they were keeping clean sheets, they couldn't score a goal. They're scoring goals and they can't keep clean sheets. It doesn't make rocket scientists to work out. If they can somehow get that balance coming together, I think they'll be formidable. And if they can do that over Christmas now, leading into January...
It's okay talking about it.
What a positive...
It's okay talking about it.
What am I supposed to do? Go in and change the side.
You've had all season...
A guy does not talk about it, then we'd have a problem.
Sitting in silence.
What I'm saying is you've had all season to get your balance right. Do you understand what I mean? It's like, I should know by now what the best balanced team is. Yeah? If everyone's fit, I know what my best team is. Why? Because we defend well, we create, and we score goals. We're in December, man. I don't want to be critical, but I just don't get this. I'd like to see you nail him on some of the things Russell Slade says, rather than thinking, oh yeah, you're right, balance. We're December.
We need to take you to a press conference,
It's December.
Well, might not take you, go instead of me. I don't want to go.
Look how long it's taken for Riles to be the legs in midfield. I mean, it's just ridiculous.
The Fabio
situation. It goes on and on and on. You know what I mean?
Hey, look, let's look on the positive side. If he got it completely right and they were just parading, what would we have to talk about?
We'd
just be sat here like that going, we got the side.
We'd be sat here going, fantastic win. How we played. We'd be matching it against teams that played 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Look how positive it is. Look at the fact that they're bringing through players from the youth.
I don't think they're a million miles away from having a very good side there that is capable of going on a run. I just think a lot of it is down to positive mental attitude
which
right
can be
now.
Changed fairly
I don't think Morrison and Connolly who've done well. Let's be fair. There's not often we've sat here going, oh, Connolly and Morrison. I know you were talking about mistakes from Morrison sometimes that can be very clear, but on the whole, they proved themselves. Then they just don't come rubbish overnight or in the course of 2 or 3 games. The side is very close to being very good, I think, and it's all about balance.
How can you say that? How can you say that after you was complaining about how they've played and how they've played so poorly for so long, and then 3 games 2 points dropped against Burnley, 2 points dropped Saturday, and they win against Bolton.
I think they're playing, I think they're playing better now than they have all season.
So okay, so the last 3 games then, and that's it. It's all.
No. I'm not saying that. I'm saying I think they're more entertaining to watch now. They're playing more positively on the front foot than they are now. If they can sort out this leaking of goals,
Yeah.
world beaters.
So Blakey, where will he be on January the 2nd?
I said 6.
8th.
That's his default. You said that in August. Where will they finish? 8th.
So see, we can just finish.
If they do finish 8th, we're never going to be at the end of it.
Let's
now,
just finish
I
up
hope they
with
finish 9th.
Just in
to get on your nerves.
Well, no.
In the interest of continuity, let's just do.
I would say 8th, 9th, and there'll be 1, 2, 3 points around it.
Will they win tomorrow night?
If they sort out their defence.
Notice I'm finishing on you, text.
Yeah, because I went. What was the last time I went big? Didn't I? Sheffield Wednesday.
Was that 3-0?
3-0. Oh,
It looked like it
Bolton was
did.
it did.
For all the
It
world,
did.
it looked
It
like
did.
Until half time, we
It
were
did.
right on course.
It did. Because I thought they got over this little issue they got.
They weren't disallowed right on half time. It would have been 3-0 at half time.
So I don't know. Let's go 2-2 draw. Sit on the fence. Why not?
Another 2-2 draw. What, with City 2-0 up and folding again, or
Maybe we'll come back this
a more
time.
reasoned?
Maybe they'll be 2-0 down and come back.
I want positivity. It's a goodwill to all men. The festive season. I'm going to go for 3-1 Cardiff.
The way both teams are playing, I'm going for a draw anyway.
I'll go for 3-1 Cardiff.
And that's brilliant. Thanks for your time as ever, gents, and stay with us for all the live action tomorrow night here on Wales Online.